Hey everybody, welcome back to YAFTV. It is Monday, May 15th, 2023, and I'm so glad to be back with you here on the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'll start with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It doesn't give medical or legal advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. So I'm so glad to be back with you. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day yesterday, a wonderful day to celebrate our mothers and also motherhood in general, and how the almost 8 billion people on this planet are all of women born. They are all from motherhood and fatherhood, and they're trying to change that. They're trying to create Franken babies. It's starting to happen, and I will talk about that here in this video. But first, I want to say thank you, of course, as always. Sorry I was away for a few days. I keep trying to do what I can with the channel here, with the with the way everything's going. And I want to say thank you so much for supporting the channel. And I also, of course, thank my awesome sponsors, C60 Evo, the incredible antioxidant that is going to help you clean out the garbage from your cells. And the thing about longevity, anti-cancer, anti-inflammation, the Franken shot stuff that's in the body, all has to do with cellular regeneration. And C60 Evo is amazing for it. It gets into your mitochondria, and I'll be talking about mitochondria here, epigenetics here a little bit, but it gets into your mitochondria and does heavy lifting, helping your glutathione, your melatonin, scrub all of the crap out of your cells, helping to regenerate or support your genetic health and your DNA longevity. So c60evo.com/YAFTV gets you 10% off for everybody viewing the channel. People who support the channel get 15% off, ways to do so below, and there you go. All right, so thanks for letting me plug. Great to be back with you. We're going to jump in here because with Mother's Day, and as we celebrate mothers, we need to just literally glorify the fact that we still have mothers and fathers, but especially women who are mothers and are creating children, because we know the Franken shots have been going after fertility hugely, massively affecting sperm counts, affecting fertility of males. But for women, even worse, because it's really killing the fertility in women, and it's creating, whenever women get pregnant who have had the Franken shots, they are losing babies. They are having their placentas attacked by the spike proteins. It is an assault on fertility and natural human birth, natural female birth. And of course, the end game I've talked about on this channel for years and years and years is the matrix biobag system, the human farming in a techno biobag pod situation where they want to grow humans that way. And so we're going to start with a little bit of news here around some things that have developed around that in the last week. And part of this goes down in the UK, where we now are, I think it's up to 4 kids who have been gene edited babies out of the UK. And this gene editing, they try to put it out as, oh no, it's a help. It's always a help. Okay, they always come to you with the worst, biggest lies, of course, being the help, whether it was the Franken shots or whether it is, all these technologies that they come out with childbirth. Well, now they're doing this thing in the UK, which is there's a 3-parent DNA sequence going into children. There have now been at least 4 children in the UK, and I think also in Mexico there's been ones before this. And of course, we know with everything that we know that's going on in labs all over the deep state world, that this is happening constantly with the chimeras, the hybrids, all of it. But with this, we get actual mainstream news here, where mitochondrial donation therapy. So they're aiming this at people who have mitochondrial genetic diseases or genetic, where basically the mitochondria isn't acting properly, and you get these kids that are born with mitochondrial diseases. You're seeing it in all of the children's hospitals. It's a big deal. They're using it actually to do a lot of human capture, and basically what has become this, the children's hospitals claiming sovereignty over the kids, over their parents, objections to treatments going on for these kids. But so what we get here is babies born using this new genetic edited baby situation. And mitochondrial donation therapy is basically where you have a third person involved, and that's a woman who comes and donates. I mean, I'm sure it's a pay for play, and donates mitochondria, okay, how that happens. And so that mitochondria goes into an in vitro fertilization situation, a petri dish baby, and where you get your mitochondria replaces in the embryos in this fertilization, where the mitochondria of the third, the third parent or the second woman comes in and becomes what is replacing the mitochondria of the actual mother. And this is all in vitro, so it's all kind of, it's all squirrely anyway because it's in vitro. Okay, that was the kind of the beginning of the mother machine as they were moving it forward. But what we have here now with this third parent mitochondria implantation is that you're getting where you have three people's DNA going into creating a baby. So this is no longer, God's plan of a baby who comes from a man and a woman. We now have three people, two women and a man involved in creating a baby. And so it's really important to understand this, because they're trying to push these kinds of technologies that are always the answer of invasive, very intense transhumanist technologies, going for the mutation, going for the gene editing, instead of using something like epigenetic therapy, where you can actually clean up your mitochondria, where you can actually affect your epigenetics by using, I'll put out there for entertainment purposes only, things like C60 Evo, things like DNA Force, so many things where you can come in and really, really heal what's going on in the disruption of your mitochondria. For entertainment purposes only, this channel does not give medical advice. But what I'm saying is, we know with epigenetics that you can absolutely go in and heal your genetics that has been broken. They always try to claim that it is a genetic ancestral, but often that really has to do with a behavioral food situation, the way things have gone down through generations to do with allergies, vaccine damage, all of it. And so I just want to put out there that now this is happening, where in England they're saying we now have our fourth baby who is gene edited using mitochondrial donation therapy. So this is humanoid mutant 2.0. Pray for these kids, because they have no idea what will happen with this kind of therapy. It's literally unproven, untested. That's all they know. And so there's that, and I wanted to let you know about it. And on that note, I wanted to move into, as we, celebrating Mother's Day and natural motherhood and everything we need to know to fight off what's coming with, as I've been talking about, with catastrophic contagion and the Bill Gates simulation for 2022 going into 2023 was to hit the kids with, of course, the enteroviruses. And so we're going to keep really pushing for all the natural means of how mothers can survive, what happened with the Frankenshots, etc. But we do have this coming down through UNESCO now, where UNESCO, of course, out of the UN, for the children, right? As I've been talking about forever, the first person who headed UNESCO was Julian Huxley, right? Aldous Huxley's brother. And then George H.W. Bush, I believe, was head of UNESCO for a while. But anyway, now we have this new situation where the WHO has put out a 60-page document through UNESCO called the Standards for Sexuality Education in Europe. The Standards for Sexuality Education in Europe. And this is where they are now promoting where there should be early childhood masturbation. Okay, all you mama bears out there, go to momsforliberty.org, join up, start a Moms for Liberty, chapter near you. Get funded, run for your school boards, your state offices, your local offices, because what we've got now through the WHO, through the UN, which the WHO must be done away with in our country, we need to make that happen. I'm going to talk about how we do that in a second. But UNESCO has now put out this plan where they want to standardize sexuality education in Europe to promote early childhood masturbation. And when they're talking early childhood masturbation, they're talking 4-year-olds, okay? That they want to have sex ed, talking about sex with your kids, talking about gender identity with your kids who are as young as 4 years old. And that they basically say in this documentation that infants experience sexuality from birth. Okay, you can't make it up. It's so disgusting. And this is the pedophile army of the UN satanic cabal that's coming after our children and motherhood, and also just parenthood in general, natural childbirth. But then, of course, the immediate sexualization of children. And so we're going to keep getting into that. In my last video, I talked about the rape of that 6-year-old by her peers in school in Texas, and the parents weren't even told about what happened to her until they actually were able to confront the child and say, "What happened to you?" And then the school comes forth and says, "Oh well, this is CPS is in charge of this, not the parents, right?" And that's the whole point. And it gets into something called One Health, which I'm going to talk about as well, because One Health is really the World Economic Forum UN agenda through the WHO to basically create a thing where the entire planet is considered to have the same rights, whether you're a bug, an ant, a cloud passing through the sky, you are a violet growing in the desert, or you are a human, or you are a baby. It is the common denominator of oppression, this One Health that they're coming with. It's to digitize our reality, to make us connected to a grid, for them to, using smart dust, completely blanket the planet to analyze and surveil in real time every single thing that's going on the entire planet, but also basically to say humans must do what's good for the planet, that the planet has as much rights as humanity, and we must make sure that everything that humans do doesn't harm the planet. Meanwhile, they're harming the planet out the wazoo with things like the EV, the electric concentration on electricity that doesn't come from fossil fuels that are regenerative. Instead, they want to mine the earth of all the rare earths that cannot regenerate. And they want to shut down all of our energy supplies in order to make us not be able to live equally with each other, or certainly not the first world. They're basically shutting down our ability to live in a post-industrial world. And so, as we look at things like them promoting these pedophile agendas, well, we also have this thing that happened last week in Paris at the Palais de Tokyo, basically a fine art studio there in Paris. There was this pedo porn art that was just disgusting. It was basically, a naked child in bondage being assaulted by an adult male. And this was called art, okay? And we have somebody, an old person, we don't know if it's a male or female, I've been trying to find out, and they were arrested. Basically, they vandalized it. They it's disgusting. They vandalized it, tried to cover it because it was so putrid, basically child rape art in the fine institutions in Paris. And then you get Macron, the child groomed, controlled World Economic Forum agent of France, coming out supporting the art, okay, the pedophile art, and saying, oh no, this kind of this kind of vandalism won't be accepted, and we honor all art. We honor all art. We honor all books. We want Lawn Boy. We want pedo art. We want these things. And no. This is the devil coming into our cultural minds, trying to take them over. But we refuse. We say no, because we are free, and we will not allow it to happen. So as that continues, we look at, well, what's going on with, this One Health situation? Well, basically what's going on is that they plan to take over our entire world with a fake new health regime, which is out Agenda 2030. It is basically the capture of all human activity with the green mask, okay? To create a prison planet based on, out of support for the planet, we're going to move you out of the rural areas. Out of support for the planet, we're going to steal all your land. Out of support for the planet, we are going to make sure that everybody is connected to surveillance that will bring them in to a top-down control of us not being able to access normal natural remedies, normal ways that we do health. No. They want to make sure that we don't eat meat, that we don't have the right to farm, that we can't use so many of our natural remedies that we are so used to using. It's coming down really fast, the One Health through the WHO. And I'll be getting more into it this week. There's going to be a lot to say about this, because it's coming up really fast with the WHO's, meetup that's coming up in like a week to 10 days, where they're going to be going over all the pandemic agenda addendums that I've been talking about now for weeks and months. Go to stopvaxpassports.org, stopvaxpassports.org. Go have a look, and I'd ask you to go to their tab, which is the Sovereignty Coalition tab, and go and sign the declaration. Because the people from sovereigntycoalition.org, they have the ear now of Congress. And so it's very, very exciting, because they actually are getting tens and tens and tens of thousands of people to sign this this Sovereignty Coalition statement, where you're going against the WHO, asking for the USA to defund the WHO, like President Trump did when he was in office, to get back there and say, we do not want the USA and the WHO. We don't want our sovereignty attacked, which is what the WHO will be doing in this next meeting. Go there, sign the declaration, sovereigntycoalition.org and stopvaxpassports.org. Get that done and be part of preventing this end of not only motherhood, but our entire health system is about to be stopped, where you won't be able to have a private conversation with a doctor, where you will not be able to control what you're able to get prescription-wise. You will not be able to control how you get healthcare at all if we don't stop this, and it's coming up really quick. And so I wanted to move in from there, because we have Musk, right? Remember, a few days ago, Musk had just hired this new woman, Yacanaro, or whatever her name is, Yacarino. She, of course, is a former Linda Yacarino, former CEO of NBC Universal, head of sales and advertising. Okay, well, she wasn't CEO, but she was the director of NBC Universal sales and advertising. And NBC Universal has been involved in the deep state stuff from forever. I've been talking about it since what happened around 2016, where it was being so intensely, Facebook, NBC Universal were super part of the election propaganda that was going on at the time. There was so much to do with that. I'm not going to belabor it, but as we look at Linda Yacarino coming in as part of Twitter, the reason I'm bringing this up right now is because all of One Health is to be connected to the CBDCs and connected to, of course, the social credit score system, the digital system, as they try to create our digital twin, where they try to create a digital simulation where all of the smart dust, around here where I live, there has been a white dust, and it is pollen season, so you get your normal pollen, it's yellow, okay? But then you get tons of chemtrails, and then all of a sudden there's just white dust everywhere, tiny, tiny, tiny white dust. And it's like nothing we used to ever see. It's new in the last 5 to 10 years, but really, really heavy in the last few days with the chemtrails. Just super intense white dust over everything. And so what I'm trying to say about that, when we look at Twitter and we look at Musk, and as I've been telling you for months and months, Elon Musk is a wolf in sheep's clothing, putting out basically the regionalism argument, the regionalism. Oh, you don't like the World Economic Forum, you don't like the one world government. Well, no. We don't want to go that fast. We're going to go with regions. And just remember, in Revelation, there are the multiple regions, right? There's the 10 cities, there's the 10 regions. And that's what they're going for first. They want the regions. They know they can't get away with just full bore one world government. And Musk is the regionalist, fake good guy. And so with Twitter and his app X that he's wanting to bring in, bringing in Linda Yaccarino, who used to be the head of sales and advertising out of NBC Universal. She was also head of the World Economic Forum Task Force on what was called the Future of Work Task Force. Okay, and so she's basically a propagandist. Okay, she's Ed Bernays, on modern steroids, with how to convince the public on what they should do and also how to integrate that into systems like things like AppX. And so Twitter basically became something called X Corp just a couple days ago, like last week. It was folded into what is now called X Corp. So Twitter doesn't really exist anymore. It's now called X Corp. And X Corp is Musk's obsession with the X. And we know the X always has to do with Secret Spray's program. It has to do with an X technology. Okay, you watch Dark Journalists, you learn about all of this, connected to people like the Trump family, connected to everything that's gone down with the secret space program, Elon Musk being funded by our tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars of taxpayer money going into creating what is going to be the new social credit score system here in the United States. And what Musk himself has said is that transforming Twitter into X, the X app, okay, is basically the everything app, which you can do everything, pay your bills, pay your creditors, pay your energy bills, pay for everything as you go, like you do with Apple Pay. And you can, watch your shows, you can get on your Twitter, you can do all your stuff. Basically, it is China's equivalent, okay, of WeChat in China, where everybody has to do it, and they have to have it on their phone, and they have to use it, and it is your social credit score system. It tells you how your performance has been, what you bought, what your carbon credits are, because the carbon credit thing is such a lie, but it's being pushed massively, coming through really hard, very, very quickly as the sides fight. But Musk is super invested in bringing her in. Yaccarino is huge because she is both a propagandist and a specialist in psychological ops for selling an app, selling a business, but the digital realm of it. And so basically we look at Ukraine, and it's being built back better into an e-citizen, read e-slave system. They're already building it back, even though they're destroying everything because they need to destroy it. And they're getting $1 billion a month from our US taxpayer dollar money that has nothing to do with the war machine. It's literally just paying to support the government of Ukraine, Zelensky, and all of their entire bureaucracy, paying their pensions, paying their salaries, $1 billion a month from our money going to this in Ukraine, as Zelensky has been shuffling around Europe all weekend, massive security going into Berlin, meeting with the Pope, meeting then in the UK. Everybody's sending more missiles, more everything, right? As Russia just on the 12th blew up a massive uranium, well, basically the shells that are depleted uranium, massive stockpile provided by NATO. I talked about this a few weeks ago, that was in Western Ukraine. Well, apparently Russia went in and bombed that over the weekend, and apparently the gamma radiation was off the charts, and they hit their strike, and you know, good thing that there was massive amounts of depleted uranium taken out of the fight. You know, because what we're looking at as we look at the Wagner Group, that is now being exposed for cooperating with Ukraine to, you know, the rogue private paramilitary group that is the Wagner Group, also now in Sudan, you know, has been hugely called out for. Now they're giving leaks to Ukraine about the Russian movement, and it just gives you kind of bigger look at the fact that no, this is everybody's interconnected of what's going on here in this remaking of what is Ukraine into what is going to be the next level of a centralized, you know, a centralized area for the New World Order there in Ukraine, for sure. And so basically with Musk, all I wanted to point out was that that's what's going on with bringing Yaccarino in. They plan to bring X.com, which was the precursor to PayPal, on large here as the new Twitter that has now been folded into something called X Corp, and they will make it the everything app to bring in the social credit score system and the CBDCs. So don't believe the hype when it comes to Elon Musk. And so from there, I'm going to move into, there's so much to say, but I'm going to get into energy here because it's so important. But I wanted to say this, John Durham's report just came out. You know, it's been like 3 years, John Durham, you know, all the fake baloney that he would ever do anything in Connecticut. Well, John Durham, the special counselor there investigating the Trump-Russia collusion, final report today just came out. And guess what? The FBI had no evidence to start the Trump-Russia collusion investigation. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Wow, that's so incredible. He called out John Brennan, you know, the CIA, the ex-CIA guy, the Muslim with the dual citizenship with Ireland, who, you know, led in the 9/11 the 9/11 pilots. John Brennan was called out in the investigation for false media statements, right? Woo! You know, nothing about, you know, now at this point we know that John Brennan was central in with Antony Blinken in the creation of the letter around the Hunter laptop with the 51 traitors that, you know, put out the disinformation right before the 2020 election there. And so, okay, there's that. Just, you know, it's a non-starter. You know, John Durham's final report came out and basically he said nothing. And so there's that. So, okay, moving on from there, I want to mention a couple things about energy, and then I want to talk about the border, because the energy situation is really dire. We've got now, over the weekend, we had EPA Director Reagan can't do anything for, you know, the people in East Palestine, Ohio, can't do anything to solve anything, but can come out with this new decree where they're planning to basically shut down 62% of the key plants, mostly coal, throughout the United States that produce 70% of our on-demand electricity. Okay, and coal is so clean in the United States. It's literally like water vapor. It's so clean that it puts every other country to shame. And of course, in India and China, they can just, you know, pollute like heck with coal. It's fine, no problem there with the World Economic Forum or these climate mask treaties. No. But here in the United States, they're planning to shut down another 70% of our on-demand electricity, okay, to do mostly with coal, also with natural gas. And we're talking about 520 of the largest power plants in the United States, 520 of them, okay? And, you know, it's insane. We won't be able to have a grid if this continues, and we're out of dire straits here. And we know that the EV, or even just battery production for whatever it is about electricity that they're trying to do and shut down all of our dependable forms of creating electricity, you know, the battery production is the most toxic production of anything that we have going now. You cannot recycle it. You cannot break it down. These EV batteries are massively toxic and massively so consumptive of the environment and the you know, all the rare earth minerals, that it is it's criminal and it's intentional. They try to keep convincing us that carbon dioxide is a polluter, which it absolutely is not. It's a natural part of our planet. And what will come out of this basically is $1.4 trillion that they want these companies to pay in carbon capture technology, okay, where you sequester the carbon under the earth. You know, it's so ridiculous. And they're trying to push this conversion to hydrogen, but clean hydrogen is even more expensive. And even to create clean hydrogen, it's almost like creating, you know, wind farms. You know, it takes so much energy to make it happen. We have no infrastructure for it, and they're pushing it, but it's not real. And so what we're looking at is there's going to be some brownouts and some blackouts across the country, probably starting in July, as early as this summer, where we're looking at, you know, just massive failure when it comes to air conditioning during massive heat waves, etc., which they create through, of course, the chemtrail situation with the geoengineering to create the greenhouse gas effect through the geoengineering. Well, we have Dave Walsh, the great analyst here on energy, at Dave Walsh on Getter, basically saying that, you know, Texas, because they've gone in for so much subsidies from the federal government, which allowed ERCOT to create all the massive, you know, blackouts that happen. We've seen all the deaths, the horrible stuff with the ice storm a couple of years ago. You know, what's going on now is that we're looking forward to some awful blackouts and brownouts down in Texas. That they have gone so far with the wind and solar and the shutting down of coal there in Texas that they won't have enough energy. They will have basically blackouts and brownouts. That's 12 times the national average. And of course, ERCOT, that's Secretary of Energy, Granholm. She was super involved in that in Michigan. And she also, her and her husband have a consultancy firm, which she had to separate herself from, a consultancy firm on how to invest into wind and solar. So super part of this ERCOT in Texas, where they're now looking at a really bad summer. So I'm going to move on from there. I do want to mention, talking about the heat waves and the geoengineering. Well, we have also now in Oregon and Washington these massive heat wave out of nowhere. So it's been wet and cold and foggy and smoggy and chemtrailed and awful. And now suddenly it's like 90 degrees there in Oregon and Washington. 90 degrees, which does not ever happen. It's not natural and it's not global warming. It is geoengineering. And so what they're getting there is a major assault on the early production of food. And because Oregon and Washington produce enormous amounts of organic food for this country, and they also produce just enormous amounts of fruits for our country. And so what we're looking at is it damages. The same thing happened in 2021 at the same time, where they engineered this heat wave right in the spring as everything's getting going, and it kills the early growth of all of the berries. So blueberries, raspberries, marionberries, cherries, all of it. And then also apples, massive amounts of apples, which we know have been getting so expensive to buy apples. So the massive amounts of apple production coming out of those areas will be hit. And then, of course, we get the Christmas tree production, which is interesting, but also significant, and I think even symbolically significant. But also, when you look at Christmas trees, you look at trees in general, where we have our tree farms there in Oregon and Washington, where the tree companies own so much, but now they're getting paid, excuse me, not to cut. They're getting paid not to cut the trees and not to supply the lumber. They're getting subsidized not to do that. And so this assault on that kind of growth is also significant and important. And so moving on from there, I want to go into the Biden crime family and how we're seeing that, you know, they're going full bore and they're at it. So thank you, Representative Comer. Please go to 202-225-3121 and say thank you, Representative Comer, and go to your representative and say, hey, thank you. I want you to support the investigation of the Biden crime family because it is coming up hard and heavy. And we are hearing from people like MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene out of Georgia, that she is going to be heading up this committee that's looking into Hunter Biden's involvement with a sex trafficking ring of Eastern European females being trafficked into the U.S. As a sex slavery operation. It is coming out so hard and heavy that MTG believes it's the takedown of the Biden presidency, that it's all coming full bore. We know that they still won't get Christopher Wray to meet with them, denying them the access to the information that they need to move forward. But apparently McCarthy will be meeting with Chris Wray in the next day or two. And the threats here, we have Representative Tim Burchett out of Tennessee, Republican out of Tennessee, doing the great work here on the Budget and Appropriations Committee, basically saying that, you know, our government and military are compromised at this point. It goes so high up. They now have over 20 plus LLCs coming out of the Biden crime family connected with Rosemont Seneca, Rosemont Baha'i, super involved with, Chris Hines, John Kerry's stepson, when he remarried into the Hines, conveniently, family there after, the deaths. And then we get people like, Paul Pelosi Jr., Nancy Pelosi's son, involved. We get, of course, Hunter Biden. And this has to do with at least 20 LLCs where so much money, at least 10 million, but we know it's way higher, okay, came out of these LLCs that had to do with clear intent to cover up payments, cover up money transfers, all of it, said really clearly by all the people involved in the House Oversight Committee reports, where basically there's no other way to explain these suspicious activity reports out of the banks that they've known about since 2015. So I've been reporting about this for like 5 years, right? These same thing with Rosemont Seneca, Rosemont Baha'i, and there's 20 of these LLCs at least, and more besides we'll find out about. But the money is so huge and it's connected with so much. But one of the most serious things here is the connection with the Ukraine biolabs, of which we know there's at least 41. One of the major reasons said to be why Putin went in to Ukraine to shut down this aerosolized biotoxins that they were creating there. And that what we're hearing is that what's coming out with these LLCs was that they were funding these Ukraine biolabs, and that it went the other way around. It went from Ukraine to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, to Fort Detrick, Maryland, and then to Wuhan labs in China. And it's all interconnected because the CCP is has Biden bought and paid for, has the election system bought and paid for, Dominion, etc., through State Street Capital, all coming out now finally. Okay, everything we've been reporting now for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, coming out, okay, in the general public in the Congress. People are livid. They are absolutely pissed off about, your normal people are finding out about this now and are getting more and more awake. And so we're really excited to know about that and to know that people are really waking up. And so, if we can keep that going, that momentum, call your congresspeople, 202-225-3121, and just support them. Just let them know what you think, okay? Get active in every way you can. And of course, the prayer wave is always so important. And so I'm going to close it out here with a couple things. And I did want to say one other thing from Marjorie Taylor Greene and just the fake reports coming out in the news of, the whistleblower who came out of the IRS and wanted to blow the whistle on what's going on with the Biden crime family. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying he is safe, fears for his life, but is absolutely safe and secure. They know where he is. They know that he's available for this long haul prosecution, but they have lost touch with the actual person from intelligence who brought this whistleblower to Senator Chuck Grassley out of Iowa, the great Chuck Grassley, which means, that is reliable information. But that person has gone missing and they don't know where that person is. But they have the whistleblower safe and secure, and that's important to understand. So this is all going to be to keep heating up and keep happening. And so I want to move from there just to end with stuff with the border. As we're looking at Title 42 ending, the border is in shambles, and it's just a giant shit show. We have, massive shootouts going on down at the border, people being killed, teenagers being wounded. It just keeps going on and on. And the people doing the heavy lifting there with showing what's going on at the border, we have Ben Bergquam. You can get him on Getter. We have Todd Benson, also on Getter. We get Michael Yon. All these people have been covering the footage so intensely where you just watch tens and tens of thousands of people crossing and then tens and tens of buses, okay, taking them out, okay. And just what's really interesting here is we have Ben Bergquam reporting that the people that he had talked to and with the sources he had been speaking with over the weekend, a lot of these people are from Mauritania, Sudan, and Egypt. A lot of people coming in from Sudan, having to do with, of course, the new, evacuation of Sudan situation, where bring all your migrants to the U.S. And this is a terrorist, proxy regimes. Okay, the Wagner Group being in Sudan. All of this is just complete NGO, World Economic Forum, big bank funded global capture, okay, of this invasion into the United States. But one thing that was really interesting is we had Ben Bergquam talking about how there was bag tags right on the gates coming through in Yuma, Arizona, that they had bag tags, a bag of tags like you would put on your suitcase if you went to the airport, where there was just tags there saying, tag your bags, okay, so that the people who are going to get their DHS Uber, okay, they just had to bag their tags with these, fill them out, and those would get put on the bus. Nobody there to say, oh, you're let in or you're not. No, just come through the gate, it's open, and bag your bags with these tags, and then you'll be waiting for your spot on the bus to go to wherever you're going. And that's what's so insane, is that it's DHS funded. Mayorkas had said to the sheriff down there in Yuma that he would be closing off like 11 of the 12 entry points. And since that time, that was like a year ago, 350,000 people have come through illegally through that entry point in Yuma. We're expecting, over 1 million in the next month or so. There's been 6 million migrants coming through across the border since Biden's been in office. And what has Trump said? He said, I will do an Eisenhower style, modeled operation of using, military, state, federal, local police, sheriffs, everything, for a massive deportation of specifically all of the gang-related and affiliated people that are coming across these borders, and the dubious people from all over the world, whether it's China, these dubious Middle Eastern countries, etc. So it's all very interesting what's going on, folks. It's a never-ending, story here, literally, where we can't keep track of how fast it's moving, but it's been going on all the time. And so we don't have to worry about, thinking, oh, now this is happening, this is happening. This has always been happening, but now people are awake and we have all the information, and you can't, there isn't a second that goes by where there isn't an amazing American out there viewing, researching, putting up the information so that we see it in real time. And so don't get overrun with, too much information. You know what you know. Get involved locally. Do the thing that is closest to your heart, okay? Whether that is wanting to work towards border security, whether it is wanting to, help the Moms for Liberty, whether it is, protecting kids, whether it is protecting our constitutional rights, which are so important. But I do want to ask everybody, please go to stopvaxpassports.org and get educated there, because this One Health situation through the UN, where they plan to make everybody's health mean that you are not important compared to the survival of the earth and the ants and the algae. This is where we get into digital control and surveillance of every living thing. And so we're going to be talking about that a lot more this week. Go to sovereigntycoalition.org, sign that declaration to stop the WHO. It'll be sent immediately to your congressperson, and all of these tens and tens of thousands of people who are doing that are making a difference, because it has given the Sovereignty Coalition an audience with Congress this week. And we only have about 10 days to get enough information to try to stop, or at least put some stopper in what's about to happen with the WHO meeting coming up now in 10 days, with the issue of the addendums and the assault on the sovereignty of countries, with giving the WHO the rights to call the shots under any supposed pandemic, epidemic, really just any health surveillance or tyrannical efforts they want to put in to get their shots into your body. So I might leave it there, folks. Thanks for listening today. There's always more, but I'm going to leave it there, I think, for now. We'll be back, I think, tomorrow. I'll be back with you tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting You Are Free TV. If you found added value in this video, you can contribute below if you'd like. Always appreciated. And I will see you tomorrow, I think. We are free. We are fighting back. People are awake more than ever. So take care of your own self, your own body, your own spiritual health, and let's prayer wave like mad, like just, with giant prayers that we need to absolutely connect with each other with heart resonance. The most important thing is love, because evil cannot exist where love is. And so if we keep projecting love and we keep projecting what is that golden rule, well, God takes care of it. But God wants our participation, which is to project that prayer and be that golden rule. So get out, be a warrior for the Prince of Peace, and realize that, all across the country, there is a massive revival going on. Okay, you can't throw a stick here where I live without hitting a new revival church that just popped up. It's happening, across the country. People are waking up. They're coming back to God and to Christ, and they are literally, we're steps ahead of Satan. We're winning, but it takes us being there vigilant every second. So keep in there, keep on your total spiritual health. Make that the #1 priority. And I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Thanks for watching, folks. You are free. I'll see you next time.